Hello, friends. Thank you so much for connecting with us once more. I'm always blessed to know that you are paying attention to what we are doing, and you are blessing your community, and you are blessing your family, and you are blessing whoever you get in touch with. And we have been learning about the leadership of Jesus Christ, on how he connected with people to bless them, to lift them up, so to think with higher thoughts of gratitude and service to their fellow man. And we have learned some of the principles that Jesus have used to connect with people. We realize that Jesus taught how to forgive and how to forgive, to receive forgiveness from other people. We have learned how Jesus assessed the needs of other people and tried to meet them on the same level of those people, so to lift them up. Now in today's, we're going to learn about another strategy that Jesus used to connect with people. When Jesus on this world, he connected with people by pointing them to the true source of knowledge. You know, my friend, everything in this world is governed by laws. There are laws that govern our physical body, our biology. There's biological laws that if you disobey them, you pay the price. There are laws that govern our physical world. If you jump from a 5-story building without protection, you'll be sure they're going to get injured. Why? Because you broke the law of gravity. There are laws that govern celestial objects, galaxies, sun and moon and stars. They are all governed by laws. There are laws that govern our land, where we live, so we may live in harmony and prosper. There are spiritual laws that govern our lives. When we break them, we pay the price. So there is no other way more than to learn the principle that governs our life and obey them and live a better life. You know, one day Christ was in this world, as he was teaching around the world, around Israel or Jerusalem. He was with his disciples. And he was being accused by Pharisees that his disciples, they ate without washing their hands. And by doing so, they became unclean. They became spiritually unclean. Now, according to the tradition of Pharisees that was passed from generation to generation, that if you are coming from a marketplace, either you have been with the people who were considered to be unclean, or wherever you are and you come back and to sit down to eat, you must wash your hands. And if you don't wash your hands, that make you spiritually unclean. Now, the Pharisees saw the Jesus' disciples, they were eating without washing their hands. And here they came to Jesus. And this is how they said to Jesus. They say, why don't your disciples live according to the traditions of the elders? Instead of eating their food with defiled hands, they eat food with defiled hands. You see, after I see they came to you and say, hey, Jesus, why don't your disciples follow the traditions, follow the norms of the people? But look how Jesus responded back to them. Jesus replied, Isaiah was right when he prophesied about your hypocrisy, as he written, the people honor me with their lips, but their heart are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are merely human rules. You have let of the command of God, and you hold on the human traditions. And he continued, you have a fine way of setting aside the commands of God in order to observe your own traditions. Now, look here. Here Christ said to the Pharisees and those who are accusing his disciples, you have a fine way of putting aside the commandments of God and replacing it with your own tradition that was passed from generation to generation. The principle that you are talking about is not found in the true word of God. Now remember, when Christ was in this world, he was referring to the gospel that was written by Moses and the prophets. That's why he's quoting prophet Isaiah. Now look here, Jesus gave a very good example. He says, he gave a very good example. For Moses said, honor your father and your mother, and anyone who curses their parent or mother and father is to be put to death. But you say, now the Pharisees, they say, that if anyone declare that what might have been used to help their father or mother is korban that's devoted to God, then you no longer let them do anything for their father and mother. You see, the Pharisees have reached the point that it was okay to dishonor your parents. It was okay not to take care of your parents. But when you read in the word of Moses, say, honor your parents so that your days may be longer in the land. But the Pharisees have put aside that just to meet their own needs. He says, thus you nullify the word of God by your tradition that you have handed down. So here Christ says, you nullify the word of God because of your tradition. There are ways why leaders around the world, they form a certain principles that are not found in the word of God to guide the people. Why? To manipulate them, to control them, to blind them, and to take advantage of the people. Now we as a leader, like Jesus Christ, we are here to point people to the true source of knowledge, to point them to life, and life is God himself. Here Christ, he pointed the people. He said, you know what? Watch to the word of God. Read the word of God. Pay attention to it. Go back to what has been written and see how the knowledge of God is freeing you and giving joy and happiness. So we as the leaders, we are here to help people to know the true knowledge, to set them free. And this is very, very important. The leaders, we are here to point people to the right principles so they may live a better life. That's why I am presenting this principle that are founded in the true word of God. And they have been tested from generation to generation on how we can live better. You know, very important. I have a few things I can give suggestion to you. I do them. Number one, if someone comes to me and present either the word of God or whatever, I go back and compare it with the Bible I have, because we believe in the Bible. That's number one. And if something I'm not sure about, and I have tried to say I don't understand, I don't try to bait. I'm going to leave it aside until such a time that God reveal it to me. And I don't believe everyone. Out there, there's a lot of people proclaim to be the servant of God, the prophet, apostles, whatever, but they are preaching or they are speaking or they're leading the people to the wrong direction, not to the source of the word of God. So I challenge you as a leader, point people to the right word of life. But you as a follower who are following someone, I challenge you, read for your own so you may understand how to stand for your own and to be free indeed. You know, spiritual freedom, this applies to our financial freedom as well. You know, if you are signing a contract, either with a bank, with a credit provider, whatever, I encourage that read every little word so you may understand the true nature of what has been written. I have learned through my experience that because of my laziness to read, and many times they write those little regulations and clauses in a fine word, very little fine words, so that you don't read them. But I've come to realize at the end of the day, we enslave ourselves by not reading things to the end. So I encourage you, wherever you are signing a contract, wherever you are talking to someone, make sure you are finding to the true nature of the things, because true will set you free. So we as the leaders, we are pointing people to the true source of knowledge. So God bless you, and that's how we connect with people. Because when we connect with people by directing them to the truth, in the end, in the long run, they're going to thank us and thank God, because we were true to what is true life. Because life is where we were meant to live abundant life. And abundant life can only be lived if we obey the principles that are being set for us.